Harry, Harry. The young man in the car finally woke up and looked at the man next to him, confirming that he seemed to be calling him. Harry, welcome home, said the bald middle-aged man. The young man did not look at him again, but responded lightly and looked at the house that seemed to have many years of history in front of him. It was strange but familiar. The attendant opened the car door, and another attendant opened the door of the house. The young man followed the bald middle-aged man up the stairs, and after turning a few corners, he came to a long corridor with a room at the end. The room is a little dark, but it's better to be darker, said the bald middle-aged man, and walked in first. The young man followed behind in a daze. He was a little familiar with these scenes before, but now he finally knew why. He saw the man on the bed through the curtains and walked up to sit down. The man's skin was a strange green color, which was extremely scary in this dim room. However, the young man felt an inexplicable anger when he looked at the dying man in front of him. I didn't expect that I would die like this, Norman Osborn said self-deprecatingly. You look at my son like a stranger. He turned his head to look at the young man. Harry, you have a bright future. You are extremely smart, but you are rejected, Norman Osborn said with regret. Enough. You sent me to boarding school when I was 11 years old, and you gave me a bottle of whiskey on my 16th birthday. Or maybe it was your assistant who gave it to me. It was probably the latter, because the card said, "Please accept it, from Norman Osborn." The young man stood up angrily and loudly denounced the atrocities of the people in front of him. I don't expect your forgiveness, not anymore. Norman Osborn raised his upper body with difficulty, trembling. Guess what? Because I don't believe in miracles, Norman Osborn said harshly. How can you understand that your childhood must be sacrificed, not only for my good, but also for yours? Norman Osborn seemed to express his strange understanding of the identity of a father. But he is a father after all, and he cares about his son after all. Is your hand starting to twitch? He looked at the young man's hand. The young man's body trembled, and his right hand tightly grasped his left hand, thinking of what was hidden in him. Seeing the young man's appearance, Norman's eyes were like two sharp knives piercing the young man's blue eyes, and he said sternly, "When you can't sleep at night, the things hidden under your skin are ready to show up at any time, and will soon reveal your true face." The young man shuddered again when he heard this. Norman Osborn was not surprised by the young man's behavior. He lay down again and said in a calm tone, "Retrocytosis, I never told you. It is a genetic disease, inherited in the family, a curse of the Osborn family." Norman Osborn's eyes returned to the young man's face. It started to act up at your age. "Give me your hand," said Norman Osborn, stretching out his hand. "The most important legacy I leave you is not the Osborn group, but this, my life's work. This is all I have done to prolong my life." Norman Osborn put a small cube in the young man's hand. "I hope you can complete my unfinished business," said Norman Osborn, but his tone was not hopeful at all. But the young man didn't care, because he knew that the cube in his hand was his hope to survive. The young man held the cube tightly and left the old house. "From today on, I am Harry Osborn," Harry Osborn thought in his heart. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong 3 times sounded, and a cold voice sounded in Harry Osborn's mind. The host has reached the master recognition conditions, and the system has begun to recognize the master. 1%, 21%, 41%, 61%, 81%, 100%. Master recognition is successful, and the system is started. Default host name, Harry Osborn. Harry stopped, his body stiffened, his eyes widened, and he muttered, time travel, is this my golden finger?" "What's wrong, Harry?" The bald middle-aged man turned around and asked when he heard the footsteps behind him stop. Yeah. Harry came back to his senses, calmed his beating heart, and said, Nothing, let's go. Harry didn't look at the bald middle-aged man's expression, and said in his mind based on his years of experience reading novels, System. There was no response. He changed his words and thought, Turn on the system. Ding dong, turn on the system. Harry confirmed the password to turn on the system, and saw a colorless and transparent screen appear in front of him. He turned around and glanced at the servant behind him, and saw him nod slightly to him, confirming the system's feature that no one except the host could see it. The screen could move and follow Harry's line of sight, but it would not block what he wanted to see. The screen could change with his thoughts, but this function was not needed at this time. I turned my attention back to the screen, and saw the top message. The host is unique and cannot be changed. If the host survives, the system survives. If the host dies, the system dies. Note: this message only appears once and will not be displayed again. Looking down, it says, the system function is unique, input. Explanation: the system function is to input all items and abilities except living things. Note: this message will only appear once and will not be displayed again. Then the middle, host name, Harry Osborn, age, 21, physical condition, unhealthy. Only healthy and unhealthy items are displayed. Abilities: psychic rage acts on oneself, recessive at this time, physical alienation caused by immutable genes. Item: casual suit, poor quality. Finally, at the bottom, there were a few big words written: invariant law, equivalent exchange, automatic evaluation by the system. Ding dong. The system is converting. A flash of white light flashed on the screen in front of Harry, and the image changed drastically. The whole was divided into two pieces, one large and one small. The small piece on the top read, equivalent exchange, 4 golden words. A large block on the left reads, host name, Harry Osborn, age, 21, physical condition, unhealthy. Only healthy and unhealthy items are displayed. Abilities: psychic rage acts on oneself, recessive at this time. 20. Physical alienation caused by immutable genes. 20 items. Casual suit, poor quality. 0 foot. The large block on the right reads, exchangeable. 40, and below it are 2 items in a vertical column. Mental fury acts on the self, recessive at this time. 20. Physical alienation caused by immutable genes. 20. Available, and below it is nothing. In the middle of the 2 items is a large double-head arrow. Harry understood the function of the system after reading it. The two-way arrow means that both directions can be used, but at the same time, the left side is more flexible. Unnecessary abilities or items can be temporarily stored with the scores for them. For example, mental rage can be exchanged for 20 points, and the points are used to obtain abilities or items on the right. That's great. Harry was a little impatient to remove the cause of the persecution of his body. Wait, haha. I seem to have a better choice. Harry was delighted with his discovery. The bald middle-aged Duncan came to the front of the car and opened the door for Harry himself, and Harry sat in naturally. There will be a meeting this afternoon. You must attend on time. It is about the transfer of the property of the Osborn group. Duncan leaned over and reminded Harry. Oh. Harry turned his eyes away. A slight smile appeared on his lips, but he stared at Duncan and said, I don't have time this afternoon. Let's postpone it to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bang! Harry pulled the car door and slammed it shut. Drive, he said to the driver, ignoring Duncan's grim expression. The car drove away, leaving behind Duncan, who was furious. Asshole, a young boy dared to show off to me. He really doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Duncan waved his fist and cursed angrily. Harry naturally didn't know about this, but even if he knew, he wouldn't care, because he had already made plans for this inevitable confrontation. It was already night, The moon was bright in the sky, and the sky was full of stars, which didn't look like home at all. Harry had already arrived at the hotel where he was staying temporarily, and he locked himself in the room. He sat in front of the window, looking down at the people coming and going like ants below, in a daze, and didn't even realize that he had missed lunch and dinner. Then a sound rang out, and Harry finally came back to his senses. He looked down and saw that it was the thing Norman Osborn gave him that fell to the ground. He took a long breath and bent down to pick it up. Don't think about it anymore. Everything will start over again, Harry said to himself, saying goodbye to the past lightly, and bid farewell to everything that no longer belonged to him. Harry didn't know how long the long night was. What he knew was that when he woke up tomorrow morning, he would be Harry Osborn. The next morning, Harry came to the old house of the Osborn family, where the meeting would be held. Norman Osborn had struggled for his life all his life, and had used both bright and dark means, but his death still came as expected, just like fate, even though he owned a business empire spanning medicine, energy, biotechnology, etc. Although it was not yet 8 o'clock, as the new head of Osborn Enterprises, which had a market value of 200 billion, it was necessary to arrive early. Harry sat at the main seat of the conference table, supporting his head with one hand, his eyes on the wrist of the other hand. The hour hand of the clock kept ticking, and it was 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. After a while, the sound of leather shoes stepping on the floor reached Harry's ears, and the sound of high heels, very crisp. Everyone sat down, and except for the girl at the back, everyone's eyes fell on Harry. Harry, Osborn Group has been controversial because of Dr. Connorson's previous incident, Duncan said first. Dr. Connorson is the crazy scientist who wants to turn all New Yorkers into giant lizards, Harry said, looking at Duncan with interest. This Duncan is really impatient. He wants to show me his power as soon as he comes, Harry thought to himself. Yes, Duncan looked directly at Harry and said, so we stopped all animal hybridization projects involving Dr. Connorson. Oh, this is indeed Osborn's way of doing things, abandoning everyone who gets in the way, Harry said sarcastically. Now, everyone's criticism may be directed at you, and we think that shirking responsibility is your best choice. Duncan turned his head and looked at everyone, then looked at Harry, and said so. Duncan obviously wanted Harry to give the public the impression that he didn't want to take responsibility, but Harry would not be fooled. It's okay, I'll take care of it, Harry said with a smile. Seeing everyone's distrustful expressions, Harry chuckled and said, do you think Norman Osborn, as a father, was thinking of leaving a company worth 200 billion to a little kid in his 20s? Harry looked around and saw that no one answered. He no longer had a smile on his face. He slammed his hands on the table and said seriously, only he knows whether he is crazy or not, but if you are crazy, then leave Osborn Enterprises. What you have to remember is that I, Harry Osborn, am the one who can decide your fate. I, Harry Osborn, am the owner of Osborn Group. Harry looked at Duncan and said the last sentence. Duncan called Harry with a fake smile. Call me Mr. Osborn, Harry interrupted Duncan. We are not friends, Harry said with a mocking smile. Duncan frowned and lowered his head. Hi, Harry greeted the girl at the back, and everyone looked at the girl. She was still in a daze, and suddenly she felt that the sound disappeared, and she slowly turned her head to look at Harry. You are his assistant, right? Harry asked. The girl nodded. What's your name? Felicia, a good name, Harry thought for a moment. You all have to listen to her from now on, because she listens to me, Harry ordered. Do you have any questions? Harry asked. Someone raised a pen and put it down again, and finally, no one said anything. Very good, your job is saved, Harry said with satisfaction. Suddenly, a servant came in, walked to Harry, leaned over and said, "Sir, there is a man named Peter Parker outside who wants to see you." Harry's hand trembled when he heard it, and the pen in his hand fell on the table. Ahem! Harry recovered his mood and said to Felicia, "Felicia, give me all the reports on the biological hybridization project. Remember every copy, especially those about lizards and spiders." Harry stood up and was about to leave in a hurry, but suddenly remembered something and reminded Felicia, no matter how long ago it was. After that, Harry left. Peter Parker heard about Harry's return and Norman's death on the news, so he came to the Osborn family's old house without even thinking about it. He felt a little abrupt when he arrived. When he was a child, he didn't think too much about making friends, but now that he has grown up, he has more concerns. "Peter Parker, I can't believe it's you," Harry said with a double meaning. "Hi." Harry, Peter Parker was relieved to hear Harry's surprised tone, and he walked up to hug Harry. Harry was indeed surprised, because the moment he saw Peter Parker, the system screen automatically popped up, showing name, Peter Parker, age, 20, physical condition, healthy abilities, spider sense 50, static absorption 30, physical enhancement 30 items, spider suit 10 dem. What excited Harry the most was the following. "Do you want to record the abilities and items of the individual in front of you?" "Yes, yes," Harry shouted in his heart. Entry successful. The host currently has no points and cannot obtain abilities or items. You can try to obtain them after you obtain points. Then the screen disappeared. "Nice to meet you, Peter." Harry also hugged his best friend. Harry and Peter Parker walked out of the old house of the Osborn family, talking about childhood fun along the way. Of course, the person who was talking was Spider-Man, and the person who was listening was Harry. Harry explained that he had lost his memory due to an accident. The kind-hearted Spider-Man naturally would not doubt it, because his friend still remembered him even if he had lost his memory. Anyone would feel it, so in order to make Harry remember the past, he naturally kept talking. "Peter, how are you now? Do you have a girlfriend?" Harry asked in a teasing tone. "Ah, well, yes." Spider-Man was a little embarrassed. "Oh, I can't believe that the nerdy Peter Parker actually has a girlfriend," Harry said in an exaggerated tone. "Her name is Gwen Stacy, and she's an intern in your company," Spider-Man said. "You didn't?" Spider-Man asked back. "No, I was studying in a boarding school even though I was abroad." Harry shook his head and smiled bitterly. Norman was not a good father after all. "I know, but I saw the scandal between you and the French supermodel in the newspaper." Spider-Man also teased Harry when he saw that Harry looked a little depressed. "Ha ha!" Harry laughed heartily. He had never had a friend like Spider-Man before. The two walked and came to the river. Harry picked up a stone and threw it into Harry's body. There was a plop sound. The sound was very small and the distance was very close. This body was really fragile and weak. Spider-Man also picked up a stone and made a beautiful series of water skips. "Oh!" Harry was surprised at the power displayed by Spider-Man. Although he knew it would be like this, he couldn't help being surprised when the fact happened before his eyes. "Aha, wrist skills," Spider-Man covered up, but he really couldn't lie. The unnatural expression on his face completely betrayed him. "What do you think of Spider-Man?" Spider-Man quickly changed the subject. Harry paused, then said, "How should I put it? I agree with his idea of doing good things, but I don't think there's any good in doing so. Harry is not a selfless person. If he wants to be a superhero, he will never tolerate those media or official fabrications for no reason." Spider-Man didn't know what to say, but he was still very happy. After all, his good friend agreed with his career. He found confidence in his good friend after feeling depressed with his girlfriend. "Oh, Peter, I should go." Harry looked at his watch. It was almost 1 p.m. "You know, I just took over the Osborn group. There are a lot of things waiting for me to solve," so Harry said in embarrassment. "Then you go first, I'm fine." Spider-Man didn't want to embarrass Harry. "Okay, say hello to Aunt May for me," Harry said and hurried away. He suddenly realized his mistake. At this time, what he should do most is to consolidate his position as the leader of the Osborn group, and to do this, he must get rid of Duncan. Harry sneered at the black SUV parked not far away. This Duncan was actually watching him all the time. He couldn't let him go any longer. He had to act quickly. Max just turned into an electric man, plus the previous biological experiment. These two things alone could put him in an irreparable situation. The Osborn building is one of the iconic buildings in New York City. Even though Harry didn't know the way there, he found it quickly. With the greetings of the employees along the way, Harry successfully arrived at the chairman's office. The cube Norman gave him recorded all the secret records about genetic experiments, and it was also a collection terminal for all the information of the Osborn group. Spider-Venom, Harry muttered while searching for the records. "Found it, a secret laboratory." Harry found the laboratory where Spider-Venom was stored, just below the Osborn group building. And about the accident of the electric man, and his power grid design files. Everything went smoothly. Regarding the experimental authorization and power grid design, these are inseparable from Duncan. Soon, all the information was found. Then there is my physical illness. Harry stored all the information in a secret file and sent it to various newspapers and the New York City Police Department. "Felicia asked Duncan to come to my office." "Yes, sir." Harry put down the phone and waited quietly. Ding ding. Duncan knocked on the door outside. "Come in," Harry said. "Harry, what do you want to talk to me about?" Duncan said with a smile. Harry stood up slowly, looked at Duncan and said, "Please call me Mr. Osborn." Duncan's smile disappeared. Harry passed by the desk and handed Duncan a few documents, saying, "Take a look." Duncan took it, looked at the first one, and suddenly his face changed drastically, flipping through it quickly. "This is impossible. How could these documents be in your hands?" Duncan said with wide eyes, horrified. "There is nothing impossible about this. You, the person in charge, didn't even know about the big mistake in the city's power supply project under your command. The power grid design was stolen, and the designer died in an accident yesterday. I have every reason to suspect that you killed someone to silence him in order to prevent the matter from being leaked. In addition, and most importantly, Dr. Knorson's experiment was completely led by you, and you are the person in charge of the entire project. Who should be responsible for the so-called public anger and legal punishment?" Harry said in a serious tone. Although he had only met Norman Osborn once, he was Harry's father after all. Duncan blamed the whole thing on Norman, which was unforgivable. In addition, as the new chairman of Osborn Group, I didn't even know that there was a weapons development department in the company that cooperated with the military. Harry came to Duncan and said in a light tone. Duncan's forehead was sweating coldly. He privately used the company's resources to set up a department, and the chairman didn't know about it. The consequences are self-evident. However, I pity you for working in the company for so many years, so I decided to let you go. Harry gave Duncan hope, but this was only to achieve his goal. Seeing Duncan relax a little, Harry continued, "But there is a condition. I want you to hand over the password of the underground laboratory." How Duncan wiped the cold sweat from his head and said, "Okay, only you can let me go." After handing over the password, Duncan left in a panic. Harry smiled disdainfully. Duncan decided not to give up. He was absolutely sure that in the next period of time, he would be greeted by assassinations and accidents. However, Harry had no intention of letting him go. As long as Duncan walked out of the door, he would be greeted by reporters, police, and possibly a court subpoena. The passage to the underground laboratory is Harry's special elevator. After entering the password, the elevator started to slowly descend. A dark green light gradually appeared, and the laboratory appeared in front of Harry. Harry saw the glass window where the Green Goblin armor was placed at a glance. He hurriedly ran over and opened the glass window. The spider venom was placed in rows inside. "What a beautiful temptation," Harry said as he looked at the crystal liquid in the test tube. Without hesitation, Harry put the venom into the injection gun, took off his suit, and then took off his shirt. He clenched his left fist tightly twice, then inserted the needle into the vein, and injected the venom into Harry's body little by little. Ah! The moment Harry injected the cold spider venom into his body, he cried out in pain. The originally cold liquid started to boil as soon as it entered his blood. He felt like he was being poured into boiling hot molten iron. The pain was unbearable. In the pain, he remembered that he had forgotten to put on the Green Goblin armor. Without the self-healing function of the Green Goblin armor, he would not be able to survive the invasion of the spider venom on his body. But fortunately, the Green Goblin armor was right in front of him. The armor's self-healing function was activated, and Harry exclaimed softly. This was a lucky escape from death. Only in this way could he feel how happy it was to be alive. At the same time, he found that he had a strong irritability in his heart, as if he would not be satisfied until everything was destroyed. Ding dong, the system screen opened. It is true. Harry looked at the information on the screen. Name: Harry Osborn. Age: 21. Physical condition: unhealthy abilities. Psychic rage acts on himself 30. Physical alienation caused by the non-transformation gene 30 items. Green Goblin armor 30. As Harry guessed, spider venom can't solve his physical illness in essence. Although it strengthens his body, it makes him no longer rational on the mental level. But it doesn't matter. He has achieved his goal. System: convert mental frenzy and physical alienation into points, Harry said to the screen. Ding dong, ding dong, oh, Harry cried out in comfort, and the discomfort in his body completely disappeared. Although he felt a decrease in strength, his physical condition finally became healthy. His brain also got rid of the previous madness, and a cool feeling surged in his heart. At this time, the curse of the Osborn family was lifted. Name: Harry Osborn. Age: 21. Physical condition: healthy abilities. None items. Green Goblin armor 30. This is Harry's current situation. System: obtain Peter Parker's physical enhancement and electrostatic absorption abilities. Harry desperately wanted to gain power, and coupled with his childhood fascination with Spider-Man, he chose to obtain Spider-Man's abilities without hesitation. The body gradually became hot, but unlike the last time, this time there was no pain, but a feeling of breaking free. Taking off the Green Goblin armor, Harry wiped the sweat off his body. It's like a new look, Harry said while stroking his 8-pack abs. With his previous body, abs were unimaginable. Hoo! Harry waved his fists extremely fast. He jumped up again, and his whole body stuck to the roof. He couldn't stop playing, crawling around, no matter if it was on the ground, the wall or the roof. Harry played for a long time before stopping. He leaned against the glass window, tilted his head and exhaled, his breath hitting the glass window. This is... Harry looked at the things in the window. Rhino armor. Harry opened the glass window, reached out to the rhino armor, and tapped it. Ding dong, the system screen popped up again. With a prompt, unowned item detected, Rhino armor 30. Do you want to exchange for points? Exchange, Harry said. The points required by the system were a difficult question for Harry, because his physical illness only provided him with 60 points at most. Now it seemed that obtaining points through items was a good way. The rhino armor disappeared, and Harry's points increased by 30. He came to another display window, and inside were several metal tentacles. Harry grabbed them. Ding dong, the system prompted again. Unowned item detected. Smart octopus tentacle 30. Do you want to exchange for points? Exchange, Harry said. Then the last one. Harry grabbed the metal wing. Ding dong, the system prompts again. Unowned item detected. Vulture wing 30. Do you want to exchange for points? Exchange. Harry's mood has almost calmed down after receiving surprises one after another. 90 points. Not bad, Harry nodded. Get Peter Parker's spider sense ability, Harry said, and the 90 points turned into 40. The strongest feature of Spider-Man is his spider sense. It is because of this ability that he can dodge the opponent's attack many times and finally defeat the enemy. Spider sense is a very strange sense. At least Harry has experienced it. Slowed vision, sensitive hearing, and a mysterious sixth sense. Harry feels that the world in front of him is simply a new one. I am now the second Spider-Man, Harry said. Finally having the power to protect himself, Harry felt much better. After destroying all the spider venom, Harry put the Green Goblin armor back into the window. This armor might be useful that day. He put on his clothes and went back to the office. Felicia, come to my office. Harry had already started to prepare for what was to come. Felicia came very quickly, and in less than 3 minutes, she was in front of Harry. Sir, what do you want to talk to me about? Felicia asked. I'm going to hold a press conference about Dr. Knorson's matter. How about it be scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? Harry said. Yes, sir, I will arrange it, Felicia said. Sir, is there anything else I can help you with? Harry pondered for a moment, looked up at Felicia's eyes, and said, Do you have any plans later? No, sir. What's the matter? Felicia, very good. I'll treat you to dinner. You must come. And by the way, tell me about the operation of the Osborn group, said Harry. Felicia thought for a moment and agreed, okay. Felicia left, but Harry was still thinking about her. It wasn't that Harry liked her, but the name reminded him of a lot. When Spider-Man and Felicia were put together, there was only one answer, Catwoman. As the sky got darker, Harry took Felicia to a restaurant on Fruit Street. The reason for choosing this place was because it was close to Times Square. According to Harry's memory, tonight was the first confrontation between Electro and Spider-Man. Although Harry doesn't like Western food, Felicia still chose the standard Western food combination. Felicia, what kind of person do you think Norman Osborn is? Harry swallowed a piece of beef, his throat twitched, and he was a little uncomfortable. Mr. Norman is a great entrepreneur. He has saved millions of people with the innovative medicine of the Osborn group, and he is also a philanthropist. No, I'm not asking you that. I want to know about his management of the business, Harry interrupted her. Devil, yes, the devil, Felicia thought for a moment and replied. Devil, oh, what a good metaphor. Harry thought of the nickname of the Green Devil. Mr. Norman is like a dictator. Even the board of directors can hardly change Mr. Norman's mind, Felicia said. But fortunately, he has a unique vision. She smiled, very cute. Harry took a few more bites of beef, but he had no appetite for this medium-rare beef with scarlet blood. Felicia wanted to maintain her figure, so the two of them quickly paid the bill and left. That's about it, Harry thought to himself. How about we go to Times Square? Harry invited Felicia. Okay. At this time, the people in Times Square didn't know what was going to happen next. In ignorance, the storm had slowly hit. Times Square is close to Broadway and is the center of New York's theater district. It is also a prosperous entertainment and shopping center, so it is very prosperous and crowded. But tonight, it is destined to face a disaster. In the sea of people, a man in a black pullover was mixed in. Under his translucent skin, veins were exposed, his face was glowing blue, and his expression looked particularly ferocious. His eyes moved back and forth as if he was looking for something. Suddenly, his sight froze, and he pushed through the crowd and ran towards his target, which was the underground power grid laid by the Osborn group. He knelt on the ground, lifted the protective net, and stretched out his hands impatiently, grabbing the cable tightly. Max screamed in comfort, and everyone was scared and ran away. The moment Max touched the wire, the lights of Manhattan flickered instantly. At this time, Spider-Man, who was talking about love with his girlfriend on 6th Avenue, was triggered by his strong spider sense that sensed danger. He left his girlfriend and turned into Spider-Man, a good neighbor of New York citizens, swinging on the spider web. The police patrolling Times Square also noticed Max's actions. Sent a team to the south corner of the square. The police called for police to arrive and began to evacuate the crowd. "Sir, take your hands off the cables, quick! Please put your hands up," the police shouted to Max. After Max absorbed the electrical energy, he finally stopped feeling hungry. His skin became brighter, and all the screens in Times Square became his current shining appearance. He heard the police's order and slowly raised his head. With enough electricity, his face looked even more ferocious. The police saw Max's strange appearance and immediately pointed his gun at him. "Stay where you are, don't move, lie on the ground," the police shouted. But at this moment, a truck suddenly rushed over and hit Max. He raised his hand in panic to block in front of him, but the truck did not knock him away. Instead, he was controlled by the current in his hand. Max followed the direction of the truck, controlled it to lift it above his head, and laid it horizontally on the ground. Max didn't know what happened to him, but he felt that he should leave here. But the police would not let him go. The speeding police cars surrounded Max, who was panicking. Get down now, the police shouted. "Don't do this, it's not my fault, please don't do this," Max explained in panic. But the police didn't care and kept shouting. There were exclamations from the crowd. But Max didn't care. "It's me, people noticed me, they saw me, they saw me." At this time, Max noticed himself on the screen and muttered to himself. He turned around and looked at himself on the screen. It was shining and dazzling. He had never received attention before, but now he got it. No one knew how much he wanted attention. At this time, the cables were sparking, and all the police pointed their guns at him, but he was immersed in his own joy. "Get down right now," one of the policemen took out tear gas and threw it at Max. "No, don't do this, please," Max stretched out his hand and said in panic. "That's it, freak," the police laughed. "Wait, this isn't my fault. This isn't my fault." No one listened to Max's words. The police still shouted at him to get down. "I said, stop." Max's long-suppressed anger finally exploded. Under his control, tear gas swirled with blue-purple currents. Then he waved his hands, and a huge electric shock wave spread out from him. Cars were lifted up, and people were lifted up. Police cars slammed on the road and the walls of buildings, but one policeman was unlucky. One of the police cars hit him directly. But just when the policeman was about to be hit, a red and blue figure appeared. "Hey, man, it's a good thing you're not a mounted cop," Spider-Man said jokingly while holding up a police car that fell to the ground. Max on the other side was unlucky because he had just gained superpowers and was unable to control them. He released electricity randomly, which naturally attracted the firepower of all the police. However, the bullets did not have any effect. Max was entangled with electric currents, and the bullets were entangled by the electric currents and instantly destroyed and disappeared. All police officers, stop shooting. Listen to my orders. Repeat, stop shooting. Listen to my orders. The policeman rescued by Spider-Man was obviously a police officer. After he shouted, all the police stopped attacking. Spider-Man put down the police car, jumped up, and landed on a police car. Stop, please stop, Max said in panic, protecting his head. Hey! The shiny one. Spider-Man's unconventional voice caught Max's attention. Hey! How are you? It's you. Max couldn't believe it, as if he had seen his idol. Yeah, it's me. Who are you? With this shiny look, Spider-Man obviously couldn't tell that this person was the uncle he had saved. Max took a step forward, and the water under his feet suddenly arced. Don't you remember me? I've seen you before. I was walking on the street and was almost hit by a car. You hugged me, you saved me, and you said you needed me, Max said. It was the one holding the blueprint. Spider-Man has a good memory and remembered it as soon as he was reminded. Yes, the one holding the blueprints. Max's voice was hoarse, but he was obviously excited. Of course I remember you. You're my eyes and ears. Spider-Man relaxed, jumped out of the police car and walked towards Max. Oh, what's your name? Spider-Man was always nonchalant, but Max heard something different. Then how could you forget me? Max's tone was full of blame. Oh, I remember. Don't tell me. Spider-Man held his head and turned around. My name is Max. Your name is Max, right? Spider-Man pretended to be suddenly enlightened and turned around. Yes, Max said. Sorry, I didn't think of you for a moment. Spider-Man expressed his apology in a casual tone. What's wrong with you? Spider-Man thought the matter had been perfectly resolved. He began to ask Max why he became like this, but he didn't know that a sniper was already aiming at Max. I don't know either. Max was confused. I know, I understand. Spider-Man showed enough kindness and his tone became gentle. I am unfamiliar with my body. I am full of energy and anger, Max said, looking at his hands wrapped in electricity. In the crowd, Harry squeezed to the front and entered Max's information the moment he saw him. Name: Maxwell Dillon. Age: 35. Physical condition: healthy, full of energy, life form. Ability: electricity control. 50 items. None. Harry had always thought that the physical condition in the information was because he had a disease in his body, but now it seems that it has the function of detecting his physical composition, just like he is a human being and Max has become an energy structure. However, the age item is really useless. Max's ability actually has the same score as Spider-Man's Spider Sense. What a shame. Harry really likes this ability, but at this moment, he has insufficient points and can only watch but not get it. What? Felicia asked in confusion. Oh, nothing. Harry didn't expect that he would actually say what was in his heart, but now is not the time to care about this, because what he has been waiting for has finally come. Hey, man, Harry called out and walked over. Max was actually quite pitiful, so Harry wanted to try to get him to the right path. Sir, stop, don't go any further, the police officer shouted hurriedly when he saw Harry walking out of the crowd. That man seems to be the new president of the Osborn group, Harry Osborn. Someone in the crowd recognized Harry. After all, Harry was a celebrity, not to mention that Harry had been on the news not long ago. That's my employee. Harry turned around and said to the police officer, and continued to walk towards Max. Hey, don't come over here. Spider-Man saw that the person coming up was actually his good friend Harry, and hurriedly shouted. But Harry ignored him and walked in front of Max. Harry looked at Max's blue face and said, "Let me introduce myself. I'm Harry Osborn." When Max heard the familiar surname Osborn, he recalled the bad memories of being bullied and buried. The blue light on his face suddenly shone, making crackling sounds, and he glared at Harry angrily with his teeth bared. "I'm deeply sorry for your tragic experience," Harry said without changing his expression. "So I will hold a clarification meeting for you tomorrow morning, and you will get back everything that belongs to you, the power grid design, and the position of Chief Power Engineer." Harry met Max's gaze and continued, "Osborn Group needs your talents." "Is this true?" Max's fierce eyes disappeared instantly, and he said absent-mindedly. "Yes," Harry answered affirmatively. "Oh, right." Harry took out a black rectangular object from his jacket pocket. "This is a super high-energy battery that can withstand 2 million volts. You can store the uncontrollable electrical energy in your body." Harry threw the battery to Max. This battery was discovered by Harry when he was looking through the information in the cube, but it was not developed by Oscorp. Even the information only showed a battery icon. Max took the battery, a little confused. "Excess electricity will affect your rationality, causing you to become irritable and have destructive tendencies," Harry explained to Max. Max was startled when he heard Harry's words, and then looked around at the car he had overturned. This is what I did." Max looked at his hands. "Yes, everyone has a dark side, so don't worry about it. I will take care of it," Harry said. Max was relieved. He lifted the battery in his hand with electricity, and the blue current quickly entered the battery. Max's blue skin gradually faded as the current flowed out, and at the same time he felt a sense of weakness in his body. But his heart was relieved, because the rage brought to him by the electricity also disappeared, and he returned to being the kind person. "Sir, you are suspected of disturbing public order. Please come back to the police station with us." Seeing that the danger was over, a policeman came to meet him immediately. "Officer, I think you are mistaken." Harry stopped the policeman and said, "Maxwell Dillon is the chief power engineer of my Osborn Group. He is here only to maintain the circuit transmission network. As for what happened here, it was just an accident. My Osborn Group will compensate the New York City Police Department." The policeman couldn't make a decision and turned to look at the officer. The officer nodded and led the team to evacuate. Capitalism, money is everything, not to mention a business giant like the Osborn Group. In the crowd, several men in serious suits also received orders from their superiors to evacuate one after another. "Oh, perfect ending!" the little spider screamed and laughed on the spider silk. "Max, how are you?" Harry asked, holding Max's legs trembling. "Mr. Osborn, I'm fine. My mind is very clear now," Max replied hoarsely. "You can call me Harry, Max. I think you should go back to the company to check your body. After all, you have a press conference tomorrow, and you can't be in a bad state," Harry said sincerely. Max has been holding grudges in his heart for too long. Harry doesn't want Max to become the evil Electro again. First of all, he should eliminate the darkness in his heart. For Max, the kindness of others is the best treatment. "Thank you, Harry," Max said, looking at Harry with emotion. "We can be friends," Harry said without even looking at him, and continued to help him walk towards the Osborn Group. "Wow, this is incredible," an old man in a white lab coat exclaimed. "He is simply a humanoid energy body. I roughly calculated the maximum electrical energy value of his body, and it is as high as 10 million volts. "Calm down, dear Carl," Harry said as he put Max down from the tester. "What I want to know is Max's physical condition." Dear Carl is the medical consultant of Oscorp Corporation. He is an old scholar and often works overtime in the company until late. Harry already had a general understanding of the main personnel of the company. His memory has been greatly enhanced after coming to this world, so when Harry thought of Max's situation, he came to him first. "Oh, okay, dear." Carl paused after his discovery and said, "In a sense, Mr. Max is no longer a human being, but a strange energy life form. That is to say, what flows in his pulse is no longer blood, but electrical energy. If Mr. Max can control his ability, he can even turn himself into nothing, dissipate into the air, and then reassemble himself. Of course, there is a good side and a bad side. Mr. Max's throat has been irreparably damaged due to the burning of the electric current, and his speech will become more hoarse in the future, but this is only a minor inconvenience. The biggest inconvenience is that the electric current often stimulates Mr. Max's brain nerves, and Mr. Max will become irritable and have a destructive tendency. If I suppress the energy in my body and let as little current as possible pass through my brain, can I reduce this phenomenon?" Max asked hastily, as it concerns himself. "Well, it's theoretically possible, but it will be difficult for you, who is a superconductor." Dear Carl thought for a moment and replied, "I will try my best." "I don't want to become an irrational lunatic," Max said persistently and affirmatively. "I believe you can do it." Harry patted Max to encourage him. "Thank you, Harry," Max said. "Well, it's getting late." Harry yawned twice and said, "That's all for today. Max and I have a very important press conference tomorrow, and we can't have dark circles under our eyes." "Of course, you won't see that on Max's face," Harry said jokingly. "Ha ha!" Dear Carl and Max laughed at the same time. "Max, I have arranged your accommodation for you. You are familiar with this place and you will find it quickly. Besides, dear Carl is here with you." Harry handed Max a new ID card, which marked Max's new identity, Chief Power Engineer of Osborn Group. "I'm leaving, Max. See you tomorrow." Harry said goodbye to Max and dear Carl, and then left the Osborn building alone. The streets of Manhattan were full of lights and bustling, but in some alleys you could hear the curses of prostitutes calling customers or gangsters. Under the dark night, it was the birthplace of sin. "Hey, kid, stop." Harry did not return to his old house after leaving Osborn Tower, but began to wander aimlessly under the moonlight. However, walking on the streets at night in the United States is very dangerous, because in the United States where crime is high, it is not uncommon to be stopped for no reason. And Harry became such an unlucky guy. "Are you calling me?" Harry turned around and saw who was coming. There was not one person, but a group of people. They all wore the same style of black leather jackets, but their hairstyles were strange. Some of them even had nose rings. They were a group of bad boys. "Yes, it's you." The leader walked up to Harry, waving a knife in his hand. "Hey, he's a celebrity. Look, who is this?" "Mr. Osborn Jr." The man saw Harry's appearance and yelled to the people behind him. Roar, roar, roar. The people behind him surrounded him after hearing what the boss said, and took him to a dark alley. "What do you want?" "If you want money, I have some." Harry took out some cash from his wallet to settle the matter based on the principle of not causing trouble if possible. "Hey," the leading man snatched it. "It's a lot, more than $1,000. But the man suddenly came closer. He was greedy. He looked into Harry's eyes and said, "The president of Osborn Group can't be worth only this little money, right? You say." Bam! Before the man could finish speaking, Harry punched him in the nose. Spider-Man's physical enhancement enhances all aspects of his qualities. The swift punch hit the man, and he fell to the ground before he could react. The other thugs were startled, but soon, someone shouted, "Let's go together," and they all rushed forward. This method might work for ordinary people, but unfortunately Harry was not one of them. Harry jumped up, jumped over the thugs' heads, and then kicked several people with a sweep kick. Seeing this, the other thugs took out a shiny little dagger from their arms and stabbed Harry. If it was Spider-Man, he would definitely shoot Spider Silk next, but Harry didn't have a Spider Silk launcher. He could only jump to the left wall, use the power of static electricity to stick to it, and then launch himself out, and kick the thugs on the head with a whirlwind kick in the air. The thugs all fell to the ground. Depending on the angle of their necks, some of them might faint, but some might not. Harry turned over the thug who was pressing on the gang leader, then took back his own money from him, shook off the dirt on it and put it back into his wallet. Oh, trouble! Harry took out a small black pellet from his wallet and threw it into the gang leader's hand, then turned and left the alley. Boom! A loud noise accompanied by a burst of fire occurred. The next day, Osborn building was unusually busy. Radio broadcast vehicles were lined up outside the building, and reporters were trying hard to squeeze forward a little bit. Although the time had not yet come and there would be a press conference and news conference to be held, reporters were still vying for the front position as possible, because this might help them get the big news earlier than other newspapers. Beep beep, the car arrived and the reporters rushed forward. Harry got out first, followed by the shiny Max. Mr. Osborn, may I ask what is your explanation for the arrest of Vice President Duncan yesterday? Mr. Osborn, a relevant person revealed that you have a big conflict with the board of directors. Is this true? Mr. Osborn, I heard that your company is developing biological weapons, just like the Electric Man in Times Square last night. Is this true? But their efforts were in vain. Harry and Max entered the Osborn building smoothly, with the black-clad bodyguards leading the way. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry said loudly on the podium, please go to your respective seats. If you can't find a chair with your name on it, then. Felicia was very efficient. She notified enough news media and prepared chairs with names on them for the invited guests. Those who didn't have chairs were those who sneaked in. Harry deliberately prolonged his tone before saying, then I'm sorry, you can only stand. Harry didn't drive them away, but kept them. Okay, let's get to the point, ahem. Harry coughed twice and continued, although today is my first day standing here, I wanted to have a happy start, but things did not go as planned. Harry continued in a low voice, I believe everyone has heard about the arrest of Mr. Duncan, the former vice president of my Osborn group, yesterday. This is true. Mr. Duncan, the former vice president, was originally a person I admired very much, but his actions really made me sad. What I want to tell you is that I have already prosecuted him for selling business intelligence, usurping other people's designs and other illegal acts. I believe there will be results soon. After Harry finished speaking, the reporters in the audience immediately started arguing. But, Harry said loudly, none of that matters. Now I'm going to introduce you to a shiny man, Maxwell Dillon, the new chief power engineer of Osborn Industries. Max walked up to the podium, and the reporters saw that he was indeed shining. I'm Max. The power grid diagram used by Oscorp was designed by me. Thank you, Harry, for helping me get back what belongs to me, Max said with emotion. Harry patted his shoulder and continued, I believe everyone has questions, but since I'm busy with work, I can answer 3 people's questions here. All the reporters raised their hands. Well, you are the one. Harry pointed to a young man wearing glasses. The man stood up and asked, due to his illness, Mr. Norman Osborn has not yet expressed whether he will compensate the Arcana for the damage he caused to New York City. As the new president of Osborn Industries, will you take the corresponding responsibility? This reporter was arranged by Harry at Felicia's request, So Harry answered directly, I deeply apologize for this matter. To express my apology, I will personally take care of the relevant compensation matters. You don't have to worry about it. The reporters took note of Harry's words, and then the second person came. Excuse me, Harry pointed to a woman. Mr. Osborn, is it true that Mr. Osborn is in conflict with the board of directors? The Osborn Group has a market value of 200 billion, and 60 of the shares are in my hands, so the internal discord is just a rumor, because I alone will not have multiple different opinions on one thing, Harry said tactfully, while also demonstrating his absolute control over the Osborn Group. Next, Harry said, Excuse me, is Mr. Max a mutant? After all, he is not the same as us. This was the blonde lady who stood up to ask the question, but no reporter showed dissatisfaction. From a young age, it can be seen how strongly mutants are rejected by ordinary people. Extraordinary powers are not only innate, but also acquired. Mr. Max's difference is acquired. During the time when Mr. Max was buried, he suffered extremely painful suppression. He was even abandoned on his birthday night and was alone in the company to repair the circuit, but the real gold will not be buried by useless sand. An accident occurred while repairing the circuit, and Mr. Max slipped and fell into the biogenerator. There, he underwent a tremendous change, Harry said, and Max was stunned beside him. Well, Mr. Osborn, what do you think of mutants? The man continued. Oh, I think this lady must have some bad views on mutants, but I don't think so, because even though they are called mutants, they are also members of the human race. They may be the pioneers of humans, or they may be different paths in the history of evolution, but at least they are still human beings. Harry walked down the podium, followed by Max, and they walked into the elevator leading directly to Harry's office. All reporters were blocked by black-clad bodyguards. I believe there will be news reports tonight that the new president of Osborn Industries is a potential mutantist. Harry had just arrived at the office when dear Carl was already there. Ha ha, what's the big deal? Will I be arrested for this? Harry laughed. Of course not, and Harry also said that he would compensate dear Connor-san for what happened, Max said in his hoarse voice. He knew a lot about this matter, and he was a fan of Spider-Man. Let's not talk about this. Come and show you the good stuff I made, dear, Carl said, and he came to the hidden elevator leading to the underground and opened it, which was what Harry told him. The three of them entered the elevator, which started to descend. After a while, the elevator stopped descending. Come on, dear, Carl said to them. They walked in first. This underground laboratory has changed a lot. The green lights that used to illuminate it have all been replaced with bright white tubes. The previous wall windows have all been removed and replaced with smart devices. In addition, the laboratory has expanded a lot of space. This is what I made for Max. Dear Carl came to a wall and stretched out his hand to press it. The wall began to change its appearance, and the illusory disguise was dissipated, revealing its true face, a tight-fitting battle suit with a black surface and blue lines. Although it looks like leather, it is a superconductor armor made of composite materials. It is extremely strong, anti-friction, waterproof and fireproof, but it is not pierced by sharp objects, such as bullets. However, bullets are useless to Max's ability, so Max doesn't need it. Dear Carl introduced. Max was attracted by it, staring at the suit. Oh, and this? Dear Carl took out a small screen indicator and said, this can measure the electrical energy in your body. Although you can store a maximum of 10 million volts of electrical energy, in fact, as long as the electrical energy exceeds 5 million volts, you will lose control. With this, you can check it yourself. Max took it and placed it on his head. Then, it's yours, Harry, dear, Carl said. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Harry nodded. You'll like it, dear, Carl said affirmatively. Then, as before, he opened the hidden space. Harry looked inside. Sure enough, it was very different. This is almost exactly what I imagined in my head. It's amazing, Harry said as he looked at the armor in front of him. The black armor in front of him was very different from the exaggerated model before. Harry reached out and touched it, turned on the screen. Ding dong, the screen appeared in front of him. Unowned item detected. Simple armor suit 30. Do you want to exchange it for system points? No, Harry said silently in his heart without hesitation. This armored suit was modified from the previous Green Goblin armor, and its shape was similar to the armor of the second-generation Green Goblin in the old version of Spider-Man. Finally, it's not green anymore. Harry has always been upset about this. Of course, dear Carl looked at his work and said, as the personal weapons consultant of your Osborn family, it is my duty to listen to your opinions. Yes, dear Carl's hidden identity is weapons consultant. More than a decade ago, Osborn Industries was a company that had close ties with the military, and its main research area was biological weapons. Dear Carl was one of the researchers. Actually, I don't like green that much either, but your father likes it. He said that green symbolizes health. Dear Carl's eyes were blurred, as if he was reminded of the past. Doctor! Harry shouted. Sorry, Harry, when people get old, they always think of the past. Dear Carl said with emotion. He continued to introduce to Harry, this armor is still made of the same material as before. It is hard, wear-resistant, and bulletproof. Even if a sniper rifle hits it, it will only leave a little mark. I retained the previous functions of increasing strength and self-healing. According to what you said, I have modified it to make the joints more flexible. In addition, there is this. Dear Carl pressed a button on the wall to release the armored suit. The suit began to rotate. When it reached 90 degrees, a space was revealed. Squeak, something slowly slid out of the space. It was a flying skateboard. I reduced the prototype, kept the weapon system, and it can reach a speed of 700 kilometers per hour. It can carry people and bear a load of less than 1 ton. I also installed an intelligent program for it. Now it can receive instructions from your brain, dear Carl said with a smile. He was extremely satisfied with his work. It's really like that, Harry muttered as he bent down and touched the armored suit. It really is like that. Dear, Carl made the Green Goblin skateboard from the old version into the new version. I really doubt whether he can make the Iron Man suit. Of course, this is just a thought. After all, without Stark's arc reactor, the Iron Man suit can't move at all. Since this armor has just been completed, it has not been tested yet, said dear Carl. In that case, Harry straightened his bent back, looked at the armored suit in front of him, and said, let me test it. But, Harry, this is likely to cause an accident, so let's leave it to professionals like pilots to test it, dear Carl advised. No, I believe in myself. Besides, Harry paused, and said, someone once said, do it first and then talk about it. Okay, dear Carl had to agree, but you have to take Max with you, dear, Carl said without question. Dear, Carl's relationship with the Osborn family is far from as simple as it seems. In his eyes, Harry is like his junior. Yeah, Harry responded. The armored suit is very simple, just like ordinary clothes, but with a few more smart settings. I haven't installed the recognition system yet, so given the current situation, your subjective judgment is very important, said dear Carl as he handed Harry a black mask that only revealed his forehead and hair. He pointed at the flying skateboard and said, I have magnetized the surface, and the shoes on the armored suit are also specially made. In fact, the magnetization treatment is of no use to Harry at all, because he has acquired the electrostatic absorption ability of the little spider, so Harry can stand firmly on the flying skateboard. Harry activated the skateboard, brought it in front of him, and stepped on it. It was very stable, without the feeling of weightlessness he had imagined. Wow! Harry exclaimed happily, Max, let's go. After that, he flew into another passage first. Max had also changed into a new outfit. He was surrounded by blue electric light. He nodded to dear Carl and flew out. Ha ha, I'm really old, dear Carl laughed. Harry drove his flying skateboard across the sky at lightning speed. He looked at the scenery below, which was boring. New York's daytime is far less charming than its nighttime. At least New York at night is a prosperous city, while during the day, there are only office workers rushing around. Oh, no, there is still a strange landscape, red and blue, the good neighbor of New York citizens, Spider-Man. Hey, where did you come from, you who brought children's toys to the sky to play with? Don't you know that this is Spider-Man's territory? A familiar yet strange tone came, and Harry slowed down and turned around while floating in the air, and saw the little spider swinging on the spider web and landing on the roof of a building. Spider-Man! Harry's voice was processed by the mask, sounding cold and ruthless, which was particularly intimidating. Yes, it's Spider-Man, the good neighbor of New York citizens, said Spider-Man. Now, New York City belongs to me. As for you, ha ha, just leave here, Harry said with a sudden sense of evil. Sorry, the hail broke the power line at home, and the power just came back, so I can only make up for it.